welcome back to the Hype Bulletin, hosted by yours truly, Ralph Mentor. Recording back in the home city of Lowell, Massachusetts, even though I'm getting hit with pollen, unfortunately. So if I do sound a little nasally and all, please excuse that. The pollen is kicking my ass. I did take an antihistamine, Algira or Algra. I don't know how you pronounce it, 'cause I'm used to Claritin out in Atlanta and all, but I'm taking the antihistamine. I'm hoping it passes by the time game one comes along, and when I attend game two in person in Boston and all too as well. Cannot wait for that game and all. But what we have all been waiting for, 10 days after the fact, at least with the C's winning their game, the Dallas Mavericks, which we'll talk about, at least their clinching game against the Minnesota and all. But I think they're on like an 8 game, or I should say 8 game, or eight, I should say, my bad, 8 day or 7 day rest compared to the C's who have like a 10 day rest and all from sweeping their series and all. But here we are. We got the 2004 NBA Finals featuring the 2023-2024 Boston Celtics and, as I just mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks and all. But again, before we preview on how the Boston Celtics will finally achieve grabbing banner number 18 and all, I do want to give the Dallas Mavericks props on how they finished the Western Conference Finals and all. The last recording, which has been few few days ago, when you think back at it, even me looking back on it, it's like I wish I could have done something in between the time off, honestly. But I had a chance to listen to all these narratives about the Boston Celtics and all. But my tangent for a minute. In the last show, I thought it would be a blowout, but I thought it would be Minnesota handling the whipping and the paddle, honestly, to the Mavericks. But nope, dead wrong on that one. That was definitely Luka Doncic with his ridiculous start to the game. This man started the first quarter with 24 points, essentially, man. Three at the wing, three at the wing, three at the ring. That's basically how he was spraying threes in the first quarter and all. And Minnesota honestly had no answer offensively for him, clearly defensively, but they didn't have anything offensively, which I thought really hurt them and carried the Dallas Mavericks, I believe, into a 30-point lead going into the third quarter. You can give Minnesota credit, especially Karl Anthony Towns and all, for his game at least and all going into the third quarter. But I think he was touching close to 20 points at least and all. And didn't show up in the first half, but then ended up hitting a few threes and all. But like I said, it was a 30-point lead going into the third quarter, honestly. There's kind of no shot of Minnesota coming back into the game. And at least, I mean, if Dallas had like themselves a complete befuddle, like flubbery of their own basketball game, honestly, and clearly that didn't happen. They continued to make shots and all too as well. Kyrie Irving with some big shots. Obviously Luka Doncic with some big shots too as well. And even Lively not being the same, even though he came back and all. Daniel Gafford kind of honestly really stepped up. Honestly, I do remember him having a 6 for 6 moment. If it wasn't in game five, it was definitely in game four at least and all. But I know he had himself a moment. Even with Lively coming back in game five, but still stepping up and all, because we clearly saw when Lively was in and then he got hurt with the back of the head knee of Karl Anthony Towns. He was out with that neck sprain and all. You can see his playmaking in the middle of the free throw line, or at least in the middle of the floor at least and all, when Minnesota was blitzing Luka Doncic at least and all. So the fact that Stafford was able to step up, give him a 6 for 6 moment too as well and all. I believe it was in game five. I believe. Yeah, I'm going on memory right now too as well. Didn't have a chance to watch the tape and all too as well, because it was a thorough beating and all too as well from Dallas and all. And that's why I have to give him really credit, honestly. Let me go back to the strip that I had. Yeah, a team with a lot of great talent, both defensively and offensively, but it seemed like they were missing another ball handler. I'm talking about Minnesota right now, and I feel like that's what kind of hurt them going into this series against Dallas and all, when you're facing Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, guys who have high usage with the ball and all. And the only thing that you're combating that with, even though you got a damn good defense, which Minnesota does, if you're just combating that with Ant Edwards, with quick pick and roll, quick picks, screens, and it's not really a roll or anything, because he's not looking to pass. He's really looking to score or just look for a shot at least in that instance. It's not really a playmaking situation for him off the bat. He's looking to play make late, and it's leading to turnovers. If you were watching those games, you would see those out of bound turnovers, especially one to Nas Reed and all too as well, late in the shot clock and all. Instead of trying to find something quick, and if nothing is being found, the ball getting back to him and all. So I just feel like that was a big deterrent of this matchup, honestly, with Dallas. I really did like Dallas in this matchup because of Luka and Kyrie, honestly, just because of those two, honestly. Their offensive, Jokic and Murray's dynamic offense was great against other teams, but Minnesota because they're able to pack the paint. And you, obviously with Jokic, even though he has a 3-point shot, he wants to be inside a whole lot more and put in his work, which he did with Rudy Gobert in Game 5. But you saw just the thorough like physicality, game in game out, wearing Jokic out honestly, and that's the reason why they were able to pull through in this series. It was more of a wing thing going on, and as I said with Minnesota, with the size, able to combat what Jokic gives them, at least in all game in, game out. There's nothing that Minnesota was offering in a game in instant. Conley was good, but you need him to be great, if not the whole game. 24 minutes, you know what I mean? 20 minutes at least and all, because at least that's what's Kyrie giving you. If Luke is giving you, he was giving you that 30 to 40 minutes of smacking in Game 5 at least and all. Kyrie Irving's over there giving you at least 20 to 25 minutes of great basketball scoring wise. That's what you need from Conley, at least if you're ant to combat Dallas for what they have. At least currently on their team and all, and I just feel like that was what they're lacking and all. It's not like they should give up on their team, like they have nowhere else to go, and I think they can still go up honestly, even with this roster. It's not like you need to trade Towns or anything like that. I would be open to it, especially if it's the New York Knicks and Julius Randle's in the mix, because I just see a resemblance of Julius Randle and Ant Edwards on the floor. But that's a different conversation for some other time about NBA offseason and all. But again, just for how Dallas thoroughly dominated the Western Conference Finals, I just thought the hindrance of Minnesota and the lack of offensive stability, especially at the guard position and all, I just thought it was going to hurt him in this series compared to how it helped him in Denver and all. So now we have Luka, like we were talking, like I just started talking about earlier. We got Luka and Kyrie with their offense dynamicism. If I'm making up another word, honestly, in this podcast and all, but now we're going to be looking like how can the Boston Celtics combat this ultra offense where people are saying like Stan Van Gundy that this is the best offensive backcourt in history and all. When you look at the talent and the skill, I get it, but we still have more games to see if that's going to be the case and all. But in these playoffs, it's obviously not hard to say that this is the best offensive backcourt in basketball right now. Mind you, there's only two teams left and all, and the backcourt of my bad. It really is kind of feels like a Derek Holiday with those two, honestly. But Derek White and Drew Holiday as them as a backcourt, obviously the best defensive backcourt you can argue in basketball. I would think is the best defensive backcourt in basketball. We're going to see how these two really match up, honestly. So let's go back to the script. Now that we're in the analysis of the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks, how can the Boston Celtics slow down the Dallas offense? I'd argue that they're already been slowed down. LSC and OKC had their games versus Dallas, in my opinion, but both teams lacked offensive stability to continue pounding on the Dallas defense. There's no Kawhi for the Los Angeles Clippers, and the inconsistencies of Paul George and James Harden in playoff scenarios, we all know about them. For basketball fans or even casual basketball fans, we all know about the inconsistencies of both Paul George and James Harden and playoff situations. And also I feel like the Dallas defense was not really tested in that situation in the first round. When we go to the second round against OKC, SGA was thoroughly able to do whatever he wants. The way we looked at Ant in the Western Conference Finals, Shai Gilgeous looked the complete opposite in his matchup against the Dallas. He was able to continue averaging his 30 points and all too as well. It was just even though Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams were able to have an uptick in the regular season, this is what I was concerned about in the postseason. Can they continue their uptick? From basically Jalen Williams being the most improved player, Chet Holmgren being a rookie player at least and all. Can they show not every rookie is doing what Chet Holmgren did this year. Not every second year player is doing what Jalen Williams did this season. I was just curious, can they bring that same play to the postseason? Competition's different. You're seeing the same player over and over and over again, and so that's what I was concerned about. They didn't thoroughly bring it, unfortunately. You can argue Lou Dort was the second best player for OKC, honestly, and I feel like that was the toughest matchup for Dallas, and that ended up being a 6 games. And that ended up being a 6 game series. If there was a hiccup, mind that pickup, please. Please mind that pickup, hiccup and all. But I thought the best offense that Dallas faced, the Dallas defense at least, no, the best offense they faced was OKC, and they gave him a 6 game series. Again, SGA was consistent with his 30 points. Again, Chet and Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams wasn't able to bring their uptick that they were able to bring up in the regular season into the postseason all too as well and all. So that's why when I look at the Dallas defense and all, even though they've played great, I just think there have been hiccups in there in their game, honestly. When I look at even the hot shooting from Naz Reid, and McDaniels in the first two games of the Western Conference Finals, I feel like the Boston offense is going to be seeing a similar opportunity in the corners, honestly. And we're looking at Drew Holiday, who led the league in corner 3-point shots too as well. Al Horford hit a big shot from Tatum's behind the back pass in the last series from the corner. This is a team that doesn't rely on the corner but can use the corner pretty damn well, and especially from the 3-point line too as well. So Boston's offense is by far the biggest challenge Dallas will have to face in these playoffs, honestly. And where we hear questions of how Boston's going to guard Luka and Kyrie, but the math only shows two players. How can Dallas guard JT, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Derek White? And now we have a return of Kristaps Porzingis in Game One. Every player in this five is a guaranteed 15 points and possibly can drop close to 30 points in the playoff game. Drew Holiday's giving you 28. Derek White, I believe, gave you 32 in the Miami Heat series. Tatum's already giving you a 36-point game. Jaylen Brown's giving you a 40-point game in these playoffs right now, mind you. So when I say when how are you going to guard Luka? How are you going to guard Kyrie? I get, and mind you, I just mentioned Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Derek White, all capable of guarding both of those players. Not equally, because the only guy I would be scared of in these matchups is Derek White versus Luka, because Luka is a big individual. I'm not big in a fat or obese way, just a big guy. Yeah, just as talented too as well. No different from a Nikola Jokic, honestly, too as well. But since Dallas is giving that type of threat offensively with Luka and Kyrie, I see it. But again, to the Dallas defense, did they face anything similar to what Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and I'm not even trying to do that to Jason Tatum. I'll put Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Derek White just to put Jason Tatum first, not to seem like Jaylen Brown's the better player and all. I'm not even into that. It's a 1A 1B thing, but it's all interchangeable. But that's just a different conversation and all. But I just don't see how Dallas is guarding those type of four players and all, and they're capable of when I make a big deal about SGA and getting this 30, it's a guaranteed thing that Shea Gilgis, when I say SGA, Shea Gilgis Alexander, it's a guarantee he's going to get 30 points in the game. That Dallas defense is dope, and he was still getting his 30 points and all. I just feel like when you look at this offense for Boston, it is guaranteed that that four players are going to score 14 points in any given night. Two out of the four they score over 25, and three out of the four score over 20 in that instance too as well. So, and you have Kristaps Porzingis coming back. He can be the other fifth option. I'm not going to, especially with this preview and all, I'm not going to say that Kristaps Porzingis is going to have a huge series and all. If he's just a decoy for these Boston Celtics and all, that is good enough when you can bring out Derek Lively and you can bring out Daniel Gafford, who are dope rim protectors, but they cannot ignore a five that can shoot the three at an over 40% clip, and they can't ignore that he's going to shoot it from 27 feet, not your typical 24 feet from the hoop. Your out of line 27 feet from the basket too as well. So that's going to stretch them out even more and create that space and all. As soon as he hits one, you're going to have to respect Kristaps, and Daniel Gafford played with this man. He's going to be respecting Kristaps Porzingis and all too as well. So even though I get Dallas defense has stepped up. I just don't think they haven't faced a matchup like Boston. I get the offensive dynamic opportunities that these two will have in Luka and Kyrie, but I have a problem of them guarding a team like the Boston Celtics for I think it's four. Honestly, that's what I'm going to be saying. Too, I'm going to be going for the sweep. That's going to be my prediction, but I'll get deep into it why. But I just see if Luka usually, I just see them that they have to guard just as much and expend energy, because usually when they have, because of these matchups and all, Luka Doncic is in the baseline guarding. He's not at the point of attack guarding at any time. Kyrie Irving is doing that more. Before we get to Kyrie, for Luka at least and all, he may guard the baseline and get away from guarding. Not with this team when you have Drew Holiday, who has started games in the paint with his lefty finish and all too as well. Start games hot 8 points, 10 points in the first quarter or first quarter and a half. Honestly, he's gonna have to be guarding a position like that too as well, because you're not gonna be guarding the big when he's on the baseline. Who else is gonna be there on the baseline? You can easily have Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Derek White outside the 3-point line. Have Kristaps Porzingis. Excuse me for the bumping and all, but you can have Kristaps Porzingis. I'm using my hands to talk right now, so that I hit my mic and all just to explain it. I'm not on video yet, but you can easily have Jalen, Jason, and Derek White outside the 3-point line, Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday in. And if you're going, if Dallas is going to continue the defense they're playing, Luka Doncic is going to be the guy guarding Drew Holiday most likely. Honestly, if he's not, so most likely going to be Derek White, where you definitely can have a play where you have Drew Holiday get the ball post up and all, and have Derek White cut right in. Like I said, only have Kristaps Porzingis in the paint at least and all. So if if you have those three guys outside in the 3-point line, you definitely have Derek White cut in a situation like that. Now you're gonna have Luka Doncic moving from point A to point B, honestly, on defense. And I know we can play the passing lane and all, but I don't know against this offense if he can keep up with this speed, honestly, defensively and all. I feel like that's going to affect him offensively. I know he has his 7 days at least to recover from a knee, from his ankle and all, but I don't even. This is why I'm not going to say so much for Kristaps and all. I'm going to take him as a decoy in this series, but I can't expect too much from him, even though he's had this time off from the calf strain. His conditioning is going to be off. I can't expect much for him to get his legs going. You can see in the Western Conference Final, Luka was dealing with that knee, but again, that offensive instability by Minnesota, he was able to get away with that on the defensive side. I'm not saying he played bad defense. You can see the play that he had the tip off on Rudy Gobert. He's had his plays in the passing lane too as well. I'll give him his credit. But I think this Boston offense that can repeatedly do what they do their offense, with the stability that they play with offensively, at least, with their high offensive rating that we've seen, winning games by over 10 and all, and they still haven't they still haven't been hitting the 3-pointer well too as well and all. I just think what the Dallas defense is going to be dealing with defensively, and what they offer offensively, it could nullify itself, honestly, and that's why I really see a good that's why I don't see a long series, honestly, too as well. With this opportunity, honestly, because I'm just looking at matchups, and I don't. This is the first time I see a bad matchup for Dallas. I would have seen a bad matchup for him with Denver, at least and all, because even they're not as big as Minnesota. You can give Gaffer and Lively their credit for the size part, but they're not as big even on the wings compared to Minnesota, at least and all, and with the depth, at least and all. They do have depth at the guard position, but I wouldn't have given them a chance with the depth at the wing position too as well. I would have thought if they're facing a team like that, Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon can get off a little bit more compared to Minnesota and their tough inside defense and all. So that's why I thought it would be a difference maker. But in this matchup, against Boston, I just think there's too many options offensively for them to keep up with. This is why you have to give Indiana the Pacers credit facing Boston, honestly, because they were able to keep up with Boston because of their offense, honestly. They couldn't play defense. They couldn't play a lick of defense, to be real, honestly, except for certain moments, honestly. But in the last second moments, that's where I'm talking about their defense, at least and all. But they were able to keep up in the games against Boston, honestly, because of their offense. I don't think Dallas can play that type of offense fast-wise, at least and all. The only team I would have given that to was, again, Denver, honestly, because at least you have the big man bringing up the ball, and that can change the pace, honestly, because you're bringing the opponent's five up from the paint and all, and it opens up the floor that much differently, honestly. So if it was just a different matchup only for Dallas, maybe the matchup is the matchup. We always saw the Celtics getting to this point, or at least I did, at least and all. So I'm surprised that Dallas is the matchup, honestly. So if it was Denver, maybe I would have seen a different finals, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe I would have seen a 7-game series, honestly, if it was Denver, honestly. So it looks like I'm really trying to get into my pick right now. I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to stay consistent and stay sweeping all too as well. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Let me look at the script and all too as well. Let me see if there's anything I can bring back to bring any more context before I go in and all. Yeah. Yep, yeah, I don't want to go too silent. I'm just trying to make sure and all. But yeah, so with that, I'm going with the sweep again. I guess I'm going with it and all. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I dropped everything I could say and all. But I've said in the previous series there are outliers, so I'll go into that. They can definitely be the only outlier that I can see Boston losing the game is that they don't show up offensively. In other outliers in previous series, I've given credit to the other team about if like Miami can hit some threes and all, if Donovan Mitchell can stay hot and somebody can come with them from time to time. I just thought it'd be like Darius Garland or Karis LeVert. I didn't think it'd be Evan Mobley at least, but if it were some great offensive games, they can beat Boston. I don't think a great offensive game by Dallas is going to beat Boston. That situation where Luka was dropping 24 points in that first quarter, that would never happen on Boston because of their offensive stability, in my opinion, honestly. When you look at when he did it against Phoenix too as well, it was a redundant thing that they were doing that I feel like was the demise of the Phoenix Suns with the Chris Paul, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton iteration at least and all. I think it was more faults of teams that he had those big quarters and really able to dominate for the rest of the game. I don't think Luka can do that to Boston. He's never done anything like that to Boston. I'm talking about regular season games in the past where he's had some huge game winners. Like I'll give him credit for stuff like that at least and all. But I'm not gonna. I just don't see. I don't see how what's it called there? How a big offensive game from Luka is going to beat the Boston Celtics. I feel like it's more of Boston with maybe just high turnover games. Can't can't make a basket. I'm not even talking about 3 pointers too. It has to be that bad offensively. I feel like for Dallas to be in the basketball game because once they're in the game, it's a different situation and all. I just see in this. I just see in this position where the C's just have double-digit leads and all. I saw in the even though Dallas was able to thoroughly dominate towards the end of that series too as well. Look at the first two games in Minnesota; they were both close games. You can argue Minnesota was outplaying Dallas in those games too as well. Again, to their offensive instability. I guess I'm making that a main thing about this podcast, honestly, stability and all. But because of their offensive instability, I feel like they weren't able to keep leads even in their situation in Game 4 where there was a chance of them getting swept against Dallas. No. Game 3, I should say, before they going down to 0-3, they were able to get a lead, honestly. And Edwards had one of the best dunks in playoff history that you can argue, honestly, in that game. And they were able to lift off that, had the crowd down. Everybody's energies changed. Minnesota was able to get a lead in that, too, as well. But again, to that offense and all, they weren't able to keep that up because it's all Ant. If someone else was able, from the guard position in that position, able to step up and all, again, they probably would have won Game 3. Look how they won Game 4. Maybe Game 5 is a different story, honestly. I don't know. Maybe it's not a different story, obviously. I won't do hyperboles and all because their offense is their offense at least. But if the Celtics are in that same position and all, especially in those first two games at home and all, I don't see how Dallas pulls off a win in those type of scenarios. If the Celtics are able to have a lead in halftime and able to run their offense the way they run their offense and all, there's no way in the second half is going to completely, sputter off. It may have its moments of ineptness, at least in all fair point, and that's why I'll give Dallas defense credit, but it's not going to be the full 24 minutes of the offense just sputtering out. That's what Minnesota just basically did in those first two games at home, and then again with that Ant Dunk in Game 3, their offense just sputtered out. I can't see the Celtics offense sputtering out. At 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, I'll give you 4 minutes. It's sputtering out. But the next 7.5 to 8 minutes, I can't see that happening, especially from what they did in the last series, being down in Game 4 in the fourth quarter, being down 109 or 108 to 101. Some situation like that with under 3 minutes left. They won the game. They ended up winning the game and hit basically every shot they needed to hit and all. That's what I mean with Minnesota. They didn't give you anything of that against Dallas and all. And Dallas, of course, with Luka, with Kyrie, and PJ Washington, in these moments at least, and I'll even give them that too as well, and Derrick Jones, they hit those big shots and all. When I see this is why I come back to where these outliers are going to come out for it not to be a sweep. Boston's offense just can't show up for a quarter. Now it may happen in Game 2 in Boston versus Cleveland and all. So again, it's fair, but I think that could happen again. That'll happen once, but it didn't happen again. Won the series by 5. That's an outlier right there where I can see the series go 5. Another outlier again with the offensive dynamic play of Luka and Kyrie. I don't see them even dropping 75 points in the game, 70 points a game, and winning that basketball game too as well. Because if they have to do that, I can see how PJ Washington and Derrick Jones are played out. They need shots from those guys, and I can see those guys getting played out of the series because of the defense that the Seeds offer with Jason Tatum and most likely Jaylen Brown guarding those two, honestly, to start. I'm sure there's going to be switches and things like that, but I would think that's how it matches up and all. They can get easily played out by playing on defense against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, honestly. Then, honestly, got to pick up their offense a bit too as well. It could be a heavy when people talk when I hear the narrative about Celtics ISO. I saw a lot of ISO with Dallas and with Kyrie and Luca, honestly. But they made their shots. Games were close too as well, so those big shots matter. If the seas again, if the offense doesn't sputter, they're going to have 5, 7, 9 point leads consistently on Dallas and all. Dallas is going to need to make these shots in order to stay in these games, in order to make them, honestly. So again, it really is about the team offensive sputtering, honestly. I can't see any situation where it really has to be Derrick Jones, PJ Washington have the series of their lives, honestly. It has to be somebody else. There's my other outlier. There has to be someone, a third star, that kills it for 4 games at least and all. PJ Washington's a candidate because of his 2 games against OKC, I think back to back 27.29 nights. I think it could be back to back with 25, 27, 29 or something of that iteration and all. But that could be another outlier. If there's a guy that just steps up and have himself a whale of a series and all, I'll give you 6 games for Dallas and all. But if the Celtics offense just shows up, I'm not even talking about the 3 pointers, honestly, and that hasn't showed up in the playoffs and all. And you kind of expect it to show up at some point, honestly. If you want to go back into history, we saw how Game 6 ended for Boston Celtics fans in 2008 and all. It could be those type of barrages in these finals too as well. And this 10-day arrest is only going to help that. It ain't going to make it worse and all. So it has to be the offense sputtering for Boston for this to be a series, in my opinion, too, as well. It has to be this gag job that Charles Barkley referenced to early in the season and all, because it's funny how we're coming into the end of that and with this preview and all that. They really have to gag this up, honestly, for it to be a 5 to 6 game series, honestly. If the Celtics come in the way they've played in this postseason, the way they've played throughout the season and all too as well, never lost back-to-back games or never lost more than 2 games all season, honestly. Never had more than a 2 game losing streak this season. I just don't see it. They had their bad game against Miami. They had their bad game against Cleveland, and they lost those. They had the bad game against Indiana in game. I can't even say. Some people want to say that these big games were bad, honestly. I don't even say they had bad games, honestly, because they had leads throughout the whole time, honestly, except for games 3 and 4. I'll give Indy credit. They just showed up, honestly. It's not about the Celtics didn't play that. They didn't play down to any type of competition, in my opinion. One bad quarter in game 2 at home. One bad game against Miami at home, honestly. It's been pretty gravy from ever since, honestly. And I'll give the credit to Indiana the last 2 games. Those games weren't gravy, but they were dope wins, honestly. They were awesome wins, especially game 1. Game 1 was tremendous, honestly, to win a game like that, honestly. So I don't know what to tell you, honestly. I feel like it's a sweep. I feel like I shouldn't be in Boston too long, honestly. I think I should be out of here sometime after the 20th, with a parade and all too as well. But that's early. You can see like my last recording was like 10 days ago or some ish like that, honestly. So after every game, I'm hoping there wins and all. I do think after losses, I'll do some recordings after. Why not pump the content at least and all? But I will do shows after this. This is just a preview and all. Definitely after game 1, we're gonna have a show. Definitely after game 2, we're definitely gonna have a show, especially with me in the building and all. I cannot wait for Sunday and all. Thinking this is long. Waiting to wait to go to game 2 is very damn long right now. That's killing me right now, especially with the pollen up my nose and everywhere else, and my sinuses and all. Pause just to put it out there at least and all, but again, for the prospects of this finals, at least and all, it's hard for me not to see the C's winning in 4. Honestly, just it's hard for me not to see it any other way. Honestly, again with the outliers, a third guy shows up for Dallas that we wouldn't see. Honestly, maybe PJ Washington, Derrick Jones are the guys. Honestly, could be someone else, but they need a third star. They consistently average 18 points a game for me to think they're gonna have a chance. Honestly, and then again to what I really think how it's gonna be a series. The Boston Celtics have to just gag what they've been doing offensively. Honestly, pause. But it really would have to be that they've shown too much through the 82-game regular season with 64 wins and 18 losses, and that being the playoffs, and mind you, with like an 11 with a net rating in the top 5 NBA history and all, and to be in the playoffs with an over 10 net rating again, 12-2, your overall record in this season is 76-20 and all. it's just hard for me to believe that Boston doesn't do it and all too as well. So, let me just see if I have any other tidbits to add and all. Yep, I do. I do plan to have some shows after each game. Even after the losses, I'll try to suck it up. I'll try to suck my pride up and deal with the loss in the show. And like, we'll see what happens and all. But this team is 4 wins away from getting 80 wins in the season, and the last win being the coveted prize for you know what. I don't even want to say it right now. I'm mad. I think it was being played around it at Fenway Park like that too as well. I'm not even gonna mention the name of what's being played around. If you want to go figure out what I'm talking about, go ahead and all. It is the Braves are in town, and this is Wednesday. So if it's a Tuesday night game and you care to find out what was being paraded around Fenway Park and all, go ahead and all. But yes, sir, I did get myself a ticket for Game 2. The price will be undisclosed. Maybe I'll talk about it some other time too as well. But it was a deal. The ticket was $500 to $600 more than what I paid for, honestly. So it'll be a great seat. Definitely gonna show that out on the social media and all too as well. I do expect the Garden to be bumping. Paul Pierce is having a show, some type of live show before the game and all. I am considering going. We will see. We will see. Obviously we'll talk about it if we do go after, but we can mention that too after game 1 and all too as well, because I will be back after that. But once again, it just feels like full circle, honestly. To come out with a trailer and all too as well. To say like you had a good feeling about this team making the finals and all. And look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm in June. It's June 5th. My dad's birthday and all. Happy birthday. But real shit. June 6th is tomorrow. NBA Finals. Boston Celtics. You better appreciate this if you're a C's fan and all too as well. You gotta appreciate this. This is not typical. This is not typical to be going to 2 finals in 3 years and all. It's not typical. Who's done that? Think about who's done that recently in history and all. Think about it. Think about it. I need that coveted prize before we can keep going deeper on that. But once again, I do appreciate your time. I'm hitting the 30-minute mark. Great. I'm at the 31-minute mark, so that's great. Able to fill it all in and all. But this is my preview for the NBA Finals 2024 and the preview of what Banner 18 could be here in the Hype Bulletin and everywhere else, obviously. But let me keep it cool. Let me keep it cool. That's just my inner fandom. About the inner fandom just letting out. Let me end this show and all. But again, I do appreciate you guys listening. Go Celtics. Game 1 tomorrow. Let's get it going.